What's going on, everybody? Ian Walsh, Hard Money Bankers. We're doing our daily show here, joined with part two, one of the most infamous names in all of Philadelphia real estate, Jim Onesti. Jim, thanks for showing up today.
Of course, anytime. Happy to be here.
Good. Yeah, we were just going to go over, we were just talking before the show what you can and cannot say. But I said everything's fair game, right? Everything's fair game. And I think right now, I feel like in the marketplace, when we first sat down and talked, we were just starting to shift. Things were just starting to change. Interest rates were just starting to move, and the honeymoon phase with the market was just ending. So we're in the it's big boy, big girl territory now, and people like you tend to shine because your skill sets are come into play now. They really come into, hey, this is why you're one of the best in the business. So with the shift of the market currently in place, can you tell us what's happened since last time we talked? What are you seeing?
Yeah, sure, Ian. And we're full-blown shift. We're well into a shift, many months now. You know how it is. A lot of the data and a lot of the results all lag. So sometimes you don't know exactly what the numbers look like, but you can feel it. So we were feeling it for a while, and then over these last 2, 3, 4, 5 months, the data really started to match what we've been feeling. Right? So sales are down across the board. Volume of sales, numbers of sales are way down, 30%, 40% compared to same time last year, especially through November and December. And that's what the realtors are feeling. That's what the sellers are feeling. And now it's about how to pivot and just how to take advantage of this market and succeed and deliver for your clients, whether they're buyers or sellers or investors.
So how are you doing that? Right. This is where we had talked to Mike McCann maybe I don't know, a couple months ago or whatever. He was making moves that people didn't really expect people to make in a market like this. So obviously, you and Mike are pretty close. So what are you guys doing? What are you doing in lieu of all this information?
Yeah, me personally, during this shifting market, I'm doubling down on everything that worked for me and has worked for me during a good market. And I've been through a lot of shifts in the last 24 years. So I have a playbook of what's worked for me in those shifts as well. I'm doubling down on marketing. I'm doubling down on targeted ads. I'm doubling down on events. If I have developments with model homes in them, we're going all out. We're having our parties. Everything that works for us, we're doing more of. A lot of the demographic targeted ads on social, a lot of the digital ads, just upping the spend to get the results.
Yeah, that's interesting. Actually, I'm going to bring my partner, Ryan, just joined up. I'm going to bring him on. Ryan, you're messing us up. So Jim was just saying, Ryan, that we were just talking. So Jim and Mike are very close. So they're going to have a very similar sound to their discussion. And Jim was just saying, like I said, what are you doing since the shift? And Jim was just saying, we're doubling down on everything, all of our marketing, all of our efforts. And it's like when we spoke with Mike, and Jim, you'll probably relate to this. He said, well, he didn't say this, but this is so they're capturing market share, right? Yep. So not only is it 30 or 40% down, but 30 or 40% of your competition just walked out the door. They're not there. So now is the perfect time. That's why I think it's a great time for doing what you're doing, which is spend more money on advertising, spend more money on, hey, I'm here, I'm in business, because you could just swim in and just pick up everything around you. Is that kind of what's going on right now? Are you guys feeling that?
End of the day, we have clients we have to perform for, right? And we happen to be in a fortunate position where we can spend more and we can work more and we can leverage more. So because we can do it, we are. And that's what it's going to take. During this last upcycle, which has been 10 years, which is unprecedented, just like any industry, the number of people in that industry balloons, right? We went from probably 1.2 million realtors nationwide to almost 1.8, I think was the number. During this shift, that's going to go back down. And what's going to happen is there's going to be a flight to quality for sure. But the agents and the realtors who are going to perform for their clients are going to be the ones that output 130, 140% of their effort, working harder, working smarter to get the same results from the last couple of years. So it's going to be almost 1.5 times effort to get the same result of 2021 and the first quarter of 2022, because that's when things really started to change after the first quarter of 2022.
Yeah, we've been, the theme has been, and the more, individuals we have on the show that are doing well are just sharp, right? There's no more room for, hey, I'm going to dabble and dip my toes into real estate right now. This is like everybody we have on the show knows what the hell they're doing. They really do. And obviously, you obviously fall in that category. And it's just because, what'll happen now is you're going to be the guy that still does well through the downturn. Maybe not what you were doing effortlessly in 2020, like everybody else, right? But like all of a sudden you're doing it, and then the market starts to come back, the market starts to shift, and all of a sudden everybody's like, "How did Jim get so big?" And you're like, "Well, I was just here in 2022. Nobody else was." It's like I had a skill set that's real, and now I'm applying it, and it makes sense for the market space now, right now. And I think that's where most people are made in a downturn, but they recognize it in an upturn, right? So, what are you seeing though for the actual buyers and sellers? Like, what are you seeing in that space that they're all experiencing, or that what's the sound in your ear about from them?
Yeah, fourth quarter of last year, everyone froze, right? It was shock. Interest rates were way up. People didn't know what to do. They didn't know if they could afford. They can afford, but did they want to afford it and go for it? So everything just froze. Luckily, January 3rd hit, and it kind of started to unthaw a little bit or thaw out. And it's been a little bit better than last quarter of last year. Look, how's the market? I always say depends on who you are. Are you a buyer in the city? Are you a seller in the burbs? Are you a second home buyer down the shore? The market's different for everyone. Here's my advice to buyers. Buyers need to understand that there are loans out there. There are loans at really good rates. There's a lot of products out there, a lot of creative products that can get people into homes at great rates. And the more we tell people about it, the more we educate the consumer, the more sales come out of it. Sellers, biggest mistake they're making right now is they're using comps to price their home from 12 months ago, which was fine when the market was consistent, but we're anything but consistent right now. So I'm telling sellers, just throw those comps out the window. Don't even look at them. 90 days really is really what you should look at. That's the biggest mistake they're making. And sellers are always the last to adjust to a changing market. So they don't want to really hear that. Buyers adjust first. Realtors adjust second. Sellers last. Always last. Every type of market. And then realtors, the advice I gave earlier, that's what I'm telling my realtor friends. You really have to be disciplined and work every day and do all the small things and the large things that matter. And you got to grind and push through this whole cycle. 365 days a year for as long as this cycle lasts. Those who do that will come out the other end. Even if they don't capture market share and grow their business, they will survive first and they'll thrive to some degree if they can be disciplined. I'm just seeing a lot of really good agents just take off. Like you see that in these down cycles, like they disappear. And you're like, well, where is everyone? Everyone is chattering and talking, but not everyone's showing up. But that's the key. You just got to show up.
Yeah, it really is. Just show up to the game, right? Like it's the war of attrition. I can't tell you how many times during in my real estate career I've just shown up, or I've done okay just because I showed up. Like it's not because I'm the brightest. It's just because I showed up. And sometimes it's hard to show up, right? Because sometimes it's hard to be like, hey, last month, we set a record, and this month I'm looking at a goose egg. You're like, oh, that's embarrassing. That's what. But you know what? It's like, just show up. Just go to the office and be there. And I think you're right about the comps for sure. I remember back in 07, 08, when the comps, we were at 90-day marks. So from the investor standpoint, it was exactly what you just said. Comps were no good outside of 90 days. Sellers did not recognize it. And the bottom of the market wasn't really truly recognized looking back until sellers realized their equity was no longer present. And that's exactly what you just said from an investment standpoint is so true. So, we were just saying, I was talking to Ryan the other day that I'm not going to really be sure until June as to what values are, because I don't know, like it's really what's selling for today. That's going to tell me in June. As a lender, it's really important to know that. That's why cash is just so important right now, because if I don't know the value, you're offsetting it with cash. But to your point about interest rates out there, I think everybody got spooked about, like on TV, right? So everybody got scared about these interest rates. There's no money. It's not really that true. Like there's money out there. You just gotta, it may not be like just Rocket Mortgage blasting in your face on TV, but that wasn't normal anyway. So what you said is very true. Ask, you got to come to people like you and be like, hey, where do I get money to move into this house at a decent rate? Well, and you can tell them like, it's fine. It's like, it's not completely gone. Money's still here. So I think that's a really good point that you make. And I think it's also important what you said about your realtor friends that, are in the business or, how to show up. What do you do on like a day-to-day right now? Like what do you do to keep yourself disciplined and on point with your game?
It's, I've, whether this is good or bad, I've been blessed with a high level of motivation. Good or bad, it's a double-edged sword sometimes. But it doesn't take me much to get going just because I have big goals. And to hit them big goals, it's just a nonstop pursuit. I'm big on my morning routine. I spend a lot of time trying to get a better morning routine, as good as I think it is at times. I just nonstop keep working on it. The mornings over the years have been really key for me. No one else is up. Nobody's around. I take 4 hours in the morning almost, even sometimes 2-3 hours, but ideally 4. And I accomplish a lot in those 4 hours. And it sets me up for the day, which sets me up for the week, which sets me up for the month. So really master my morning. A lot of my energy and thought goes into that. After that, I'm at my desk as early as possible in the office. I try to get here by 8. That 8 to 9 is like my power hour. Again, that one last hour before everything hits the fan and everything wakes up and starts coming at you. And then I have a power hour at the end of the day. Same thing. When the clock hits 5, the world quiets down a little bit. Not so much for lenders and bankers and realtors, but even for us, a good bit. So just having a plan to execute that last power hour of the day where I can get a lot more done. And if I were to sum it all up in one sentence, this market lacks confidence, right? It's not that people can't afford the higher interest rates. They can. Mostly everyone can. A good segment of the population can. It's they don't have the confidence to move forward because they have their mom in their ear to do one thing. They're reading headlines. And that's across the board, buyers, sellers, and agents. The market's just lacking confidence. And the one thing that really helps with confidence is education. So we're spending a lot of time trying to educate the buyers, the sellers, and the realtors on just how to push through and get stuff done during this crazy market. Like my YouTube channel, my TikTok channel, it's all tips, I feel, to buyers, sellers, and realtors on how to do certain things or think a certain way. And I think as that continues and everyone does it at a high level, it really impacts the market that you're in. If everyone's just pumping out a positive educational message.
I think it's really interesting because, I mean, while we're in the same industry, we're also in different markets. We're lenders, you're a real estate kind of client facing realtor. And we are echoing the same thing. So what we say from our side is we're in a re-education phase of the market. That's literally what we say, re-education. So we have to re-educate our investors, re-educate our realtors, that everybody we work with, saying, okay, here's where we're at. And it's all cyclical, right? It's just part of it. And just everything you've said, it just echoes what we literally every Monday we meet and we talk as a team saying, hey, what are we seeing and where are we in this current cycle? So I do deem ourselves successful. I deem you successful. So I hope everybody who's listening is really hearing what Jim is saying here. And just it's part of the cycle. You don't run away. If anything, you double down, you get your marketing going, you capture that market share, you talk to your clients, you educate them, and you just stay in front of them and constantly give them the updates. And I also really agree with what you're saying on the confidence thing, especially from a lender's perspective.
Yeah, we just literally in our last interview, like a week ago, we just came to the exact same, like exactly what you just said. And when other people are like echoing it in like different spaces that haven't talked before, you start going, okay, that speaks to the market, which is, you said January 3rd, you started to see the uptick, right? What Ryan's saying is we just saw we just discussed and we said, we don't really think there was anything wrong with the market. We just don't think anybody knew what to do. Right. And then we think January 3rd, we saw the same thing, or like right after the new year, we saw like this uptick. The other agent that we had talked with was just seeing an uptick. And really it was just probably because people were like, okay, like I have something I can sink my teeth into now. For whatever reason, maybe it looks like interest rates are going to be a little bit less hectic and a little less crazy. So you're like, I know what my worst case scenario is. So now I can buy based on that information.
Right.
right? I feel like that's what people are feeling right now. So confidence.
Saying, it was paralysis by analysis.
Yeah.
Analysis paralysis.
Yeah. But fourth quarter, everybody was like, "Oh my God, there's
Yeah.
all this information out there. All of a sudden, things are changing. What do I do? I don't know. I'm going to do nothing." And it's like,
Yeah, I'm just gonna sit. Yeah. So where's the opportunity lie now for the next 6 months then, Jim? Like, where do you see opportunity?
Yeah. So it's a softer market. Okay. And it's probably going to stay softer for a while, if not get softer. In that comes a lot of opportunity, right? So investors, developers, people looking to get their feet wet in investing and buy their first rental property. This is a great market to do it in. There's a lot of loan products that have come onto the market. There's a lot of ways to get financing. I think there will be even more as the market softens. Prices are edging down. There's fear in the marketplace, and that's when you generally want to buy. And inventory is still low, and that's the one thing keeping the market fairly balanced. But with the fear, sellers having a little bit of fear and really needing to push things along faster, there's deals out there. So just a general slower market opportunity in that niche. For buyers, rates are still great. End user buyers, retail buyers, to get into a house now in a neighborhood that maybe they couldn't touch 2 years ago when things were absolutely out of control, that's a tremendous opportunity. And home buyers, and you can fact check this, there's really never a 10-year period in our history of the housing market where if you bought a home to live in and stayed there for 10 years, where if you resold it, you lost money. You either broke even or gained a tremendous amount. So if you're a long-term buyer, this is a great opportunity to get into a property. It really is. And I don't know how long it's going to last. Nobody has a crystal ball. I mean, when the pandemic hit and everything hit the fan and the world fell apart for a couple of months, we thought we were done, right? But what happened? Boom, went right up and beyond where we ever were. And then that opportunity was gone, which we were guaranteed. We thought that opportunity was going to be there for a year, 2 years, forever. We thought the world was going to just disappear, but it came and went. So, not everybody can time the market, and it's so hard to do. But I hate to see these retail buyers like try to time the market when they know they are going to be buying in the next few months, and they're like trying to time it week to week. Just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense also because at this point, like interest rates, the bomb has been dropped already, right? So the interest rates, like if they're holding off, like you're talking a quarter percent one way, a quarter percent the other way. Like if you're going to make a move, you make your move now. It's fine. Like we've already seen the damage. Like the big damage has happened. Unless we lose complete dollar value in the next like 2 months or something, that's a whole different story. So holding off. I think at this point, it was like, I think I just saw somebody, I mean, you've seen it probably a million of these listings where people are just like, oh, you're asking like a 2021 number to try to sell. I'm like, you missed the mark. Like you can't get that anymore. Right. You can see when people are really trying to do that. So we're over that hump. So buyers buy. Like this is like get in there and buy. You're talking a quarter point one with the other, and you're going to miss 10 deals in the meantime. Exactly. Trying to figure that out. I agree with that.
I recently went back. I looked at a lot of my videos from 2021 and first half of 2022, and my YouTube and my TikTok. Like I said 1,000 times, I said, buyers, you're waiting. You're trying to time the market, right? And you're assuming that prices are going to come down enough to offset the rates going up at the pace they were going up last year. And that's not going to happen. And it's a big risk because you have to buy in the next 2 months. So you're rolling the dice, assuming that prices are going to come crashing down enough to offset the quarter, half, 1 point increase that we were going through last year. I felt like a broken record saying it. And that exactly happened, what you just said, Ian. They missed out on several of their dream homes that they're kicking themselves that they didn't get. Prices did not come down dramatically or at all during that period where rates were just had that upward trend. And then 60 days later, they had to buy. They were out of runway. They were out of time. They had to buy. They missed the house they really wanted. They locked in a rate 0.75 of a point higher, and prices didn't move. And I just don't like to see retail buyers play that game. It usually doesn't work out.
No, I think the speed of change at the moment with rates is over. So buy, like, it's fine. There's no craziness. I don't care what the news is saying right now. Like, the market, I mean, there could always, and I could, we've done this before. We literally had, wait, I have to say this before. So we had a guy on that was just talking about crypto the week before it crashed. Like, our whole interview was about how great crypto was. Boom, the next week it was like off a cliff. So hopefully this isn't that interview. But from where I stand right now, the real estate market just seems like we've already kind of had the big move. Like, the big chunk of the move has happened. So whatever happened 2 years ago, you can't do anything about it right now. We're in a new space. Interest rates are a little higher, but you can still get money, and you should still buy. Like, if you want to keep waiting, you might as well just wait another 10 years, or just don't buy. Just stay out, or get in there. And I think we're starting to see people get in there and they say, okay, I'm comfortable with what I'm seeing now, as opposed to I don't know. So at least people are getting comfortable. And I don't know. I honestly, my thought is let's do it again in 6 months and see where we are, because every 6 months right now probably will change to some degree. And it's important, really important, that people like you are out there educating, talking, people seeing you, because you're important. You're an important figure in this space, especially in the Philadelphia and surrounding areas. So what you have to say is relevant, and we're going to get this out to as many people as we can to see that and be comfortable with real estate right now, because it's not as scary as everybody thinks. It's really not.
Totally agree. And thank you for the kind words, and really appreciate you guys and what you do.
Awesome. And anybody, this time, Jim's email is correct on the bottom of the screen. So last time I screwed that up. That was on me. That is his email. If you want to contact Jim, sell a house, buy a house, talk development, talk real estate, Jim's email is on the bottom. So thank you very much, Jim, and you have a great day.
All right, guys. Have a great one.
Take care.